So we just shot a snapper, really big, feed to everybody. It's like a group of 6 or 7. Then we see a manta ray coming around doing circles, and then the 2 whales pass by to the side. So like when I tell this story, people are like, yeah, you're full of shit. Like the look on their faces was priceless.
Do you ever wish you could quit your job and pursue your dreams? Maybe that lingering business idea that's been in the back of your head? This isn't another series about million-dollar ideas. Bizpirations features stories of everyday people just like you, people just like me, but the difference is they chose to take a chance. 99% of people will stay exactly where they are. These are the 1%, the other 1% that chose to be different. Let's dive in.
All right, Brad, I am pumped to be here. So happy that I get to interview as part of this project. I know from the beginning you've been super supportive of me, and I'm pumped to be here and interviewing you, hearing about you, your backstory, and your company. But before we dive into that, what does the audience need to know about you, specific story that's relevant to how you got to be sitting in the chair you are today?
Sure, Jake, and I'm pumped to be here as well. We have quite the history together as well, so it should be fun. But yeah, I think about me, not any specific story comes to mind, but I've always been in the water, whether it's lakes, rivers, and in and around Illinois and Chicago. Always wanted to be swimming, growing up on swim teams and dive teams, and on any vacation, we would run to the beach. My sister as well, we're both water babies for sure. So, I think I've always been drawn towards the water, and it just kind of made sense coming to Costa Rica to, do some sort of career, next to the beach and the water. So yeah, I think from a young age, I felt kind of always drawn towards water.
And what led you to coming to Costa Rica?
Yeah, it was kind of an interesting story. My background, back in Chicago, is working, construction or restaurants or, these, I don't want to put down these works because they're both very important jobs, but they're not maybe so fulfilling, to most people. And I felt, I just needed to escape that. So I needed to have, a complete reset. So I decided that I was going to go travel somewhere and try and find, a new career in somewhere by the water. That was the one requirement that I had. So actually, with my sister's help, and she's been a huge support for me, we were drinking one night, and drinking a lot one night, and just started Googling, how to make money at the beach or what careers are, by the beach. We came up with like surf instructor and dive instructor, and I'm sure a couple other ones. And the dive instructor one kind of hit because we had recently gone on a family trip to, I think, Cozumel, Mexico, and we had gone scuba diving. And we both fell in love with it pretty quickly, both loving the water. So yeah, that was kind of just drunken moments with my sister, doing a little bit of research, and so then 3 weeks later I was here working at one of the local dive shops, and it's kind of how I first started coming to Costa Rica. I did my first couple scuba courses here.
And before you were working at the construction restaurants, what was the first job you ever had?
The first job I ever had was working for a data entry in an office for 8 hours. Again, not very fulfilling. I was actually working for the same company that my dad had worked for. He got me a job there. Not very fulfilling, very boring. So I definitely knew I did not want to go back that route. And I think, it's just not adventurous enough for me.
Do you think that job, as well as the other jobs you had prior to coming down here, were influential in wanting to start off on your own?
That job in particular, maybe not. I just knew that I didn't want to be in an office. But yeah, my next couple of jobs, so I had 2 working in a restaurant. So one was at like a Mediterranean place, really strange dynamic there. They were restaurants during the day. At night on the weekends, they threw parties, sometimes rave parties. So it was a really weird dynamic. Still don't really fully understand how that one worked, but yeah, it was interesting and fun. But I knew that working for somebody, reporting to a manager or something, like at a young age, that wasn't for me. I just kind of always was drawn towards like doing my thing and not living someone else's dream or passion. Not that it's wrong to help people out and you can still learn a bunch of things, but I think in the long run, I knew that I didn't want to work with or for people.
And would you say that there's someone in your life who's been an inspiration for you that maybe had effects on this business or getting into it?
Oh, sure. Well, I had already mentioned my sister a couple times already, so she's been a huge influence and motivation in my life. She's the reason I'm down here, having that conversation with her that night. And another, I think another influence is a good friend of mine, Kevin, who had a barbershop since we were in high school. So he started out cutting everybody's hair in his mom's bathroom, whenever he could. And he got so popular by the time that he graduated high school, he was able to open up his own barbershop and hire other barbers. And I was like, damn, like he's really doing something pretty, like he's doing exactly what he wants. He's working for himself. I don't know how much money he was making, but he was living a good life. So it was kind of always like, damn, if he can do it, I can do it. So he's been a huge inspiration for me as well.
Nice. So let's dive into Rica Freedivers.
Mm-hmm.
What is it?
Yeah, so we're a freediving and spearfishing school, one of few in Costa Rica actually. And we teach from beginners who have never gone in maybe even never have gone in the ocean, or maybe you have a lot of experience and you want to become an instructor, learn how to open up your own school. So we kind of cater to everyone there on the freediving side. And then for spearfishing, we cater, again, more towards experienced people, but we're trying to push and create courses and curriculum to help those who are trying to get into the sport. I think with spearfishing, it's a little bit harder because there's no big international agency like, Patty, I know you're a diver as well. So there's no agency that really sets standards and is able to, make what's the word I'm looking for, like a structured or, coursework. So it's a little bit more difficult, because most people learn from their friend or their uncle who also learned from someone who may not know what they're doing. And yeah, it's just generations of bad information. So we're trying to fix that slowly but surely. But so that's kind of what we're about, and getting the local community to be involved in as well. Having so much coastline in Costa Rica, Costa Rica means, rich coast. So we're trying to get more of the locals involved in the sports and hopefully make a career out of it as well one day, open up their own center or something.
Right. Tell me about the moment you decided to start off on your own.
Sure. So I think it wasn't like a split second, like one moment, but working for the dive center here, the owner and I had talks about me becoming a freediving instructor and maybe using his boat and facility to offer the courses through, and he was very helpful, and I'm very, very appreciative of his support. But he kind of wanted to take it one direction, not get all the required equipment that I think was required. By standard, were we going to comply with that? Sure, but it wasn't kind of where I wanted to go. And I just decided that, if I'm going to end up wanting to buy all that equipment anyway, why don't I just start a company and do it myself and try and maybe work out some other kind of deal with the owner, which we ended up doing for maybe 2 or 3 years. We had a contract that worked out quite well, I think, for both of us, and then eventually I slowly started to remove myself from their operation and then open up where we're sitting here today.
So what did it take to get started? I mean, you can't just like say I'm going to open a freediving center and not, not
I wish it was
know what you're doing, right? Like, sure. So let's talk about what it takes to get to the point from, you come down to Costa Rica to, okay, now I have a freediving center. What's all the in between?
Sure. I mean, I think having a background working for their dive center helped tremendously. And so I'm very grateful for his support. And, I think that teaches you, how to interact with the clients, how to answer emails that when people come in, they're on vacation. It's not just you're offering a service, like you're offering them a vacation, really. You're part of their vacation. They spend, even if your service, whatever, for a dive is, $100, well, they had to pay $1,000 to get down here. They're in a hotel for, depending on where they are, maybe a couple $100 a night. It's a big expense to come down here. So, kind of putting all that together, really, you need to have a good experience for these people when they come. And the knowledge behind the diving part of it, you definitely can't just figure it out as you go along. So that helps. But I think, from the business standpoint, I don't have a background in business or even college level education. Just graduated high school and came down here to work and figure it out. I think with YouTube and Instagram and all these social media platforms, there are so many good sources that are completely free that you can learn something. You don't know anything. How many times have you I don't know how long I'm supposed to boil an egg if I want it soft boiled. You Google it and it pops up in 10 seconds less. So I think that stuff you can find out pretty easily. But I think it's more of the interaction with people and how people respond. This, you need a bit more on the clock kind of interaction. It can't be just someone telling you how to interact.
What about from a training standpoint? What level instructor are you and how did you get to be there?
Sure. So yeah, you have to be obviously an instructor to be able to teach the diving courses. So yeah, at the time there was no freediving instructor trainer, which is someone who can teach instructor level courses in Costa Rica. So you had to go fly somewhere to go take the course, and then then you could come back and teach. So you have a good investment there to go fly somewhere, take a course, and then come back and start there. And then going up the ranks there, you need to teach a certain amount of courses. And to get to where I am today, you have to teach I think off the top of my head, maybe 100 courses, and be an instructor for 2 years to be able to teach instructor level courses. So now we are able to do that as well, which is we're one of 2 people now in Costa Rica that can provide that training.
What obstacles did you run into when starting the company?
Okay, yeah. Obstacles. I mean, there's always the knowledge coming back down to it. It's I need to create a website. It's I don't know anything about website building. But I think with Google and YouTube and things like that, you Google how to start a website and there's 10 people on YouTube, the same exact title what you just searched for, how to create a website. So, I mean, I wouldn't consider necessarily that maybe a struggle or an obstacle, but it's definitely, the lack of knowledge there. But, legally here, how things move in Costa Rica can kind of be very slow. The pura vida lifestyle, as some people may know, it takes a long time for things to happen, especially with government entities, and that tends to be the biggest obstacle, is just waiting on other people to, comply with what you're trying to solicit.
So what about, let's talk about the day. All right, so tell me about the first day, like the first student you had. What was it like? So you left Oceans, you're on your own, like, I don't even know if you have a website yet, but you have a student. So who was your student, and like, what was that? It might've been me, I don't know.
No, you weren't the first one. And I was still kind of working with the dive shop, but the first student that I had where I was completely on my own, I don't remember who they were, but if I was completely on my own, like not using their boat anymore and that, that would have been pretty recent, so within the past year. Can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but yeah, it's such a great feeling, to be completely self-sufficient and not need that person.
So Brad, let's talk about some different goals and milestones that you've achieved from, day one. I guess day one is striking off on your own. What was the next like big milestone that you hit, and what did it take to get there?
Sure, I think the first big milestone would probably be getting the office space. It makes, your business seem a bit more legitimate, not just, meeting in the marina, a random table in the marina, signing some papers and then going on a boat. So yeah, I think the office space would be kind of that first big milestone. And getting there, I just need to really make sure that you have that revenue coming in every month to make sure, because once you sign that lease, it's you're pretty much set in stone there for whatever the contract was for. And we signed the lease for 6 months at first. The owner of this place has been very good with us and very accommodating, and I was kind of weary when I first signed it, so he's like, look, like I could do a 6-month one to make sure that it works for you and it works for us at a certain price, and if it works out, then we'll agree upon something. Of course, a price increase, but then for a year contract, and it's worked out. But yeah, to get there, it was really just making sure we had the amount of students coming in every month, and in order to offset some of the cost of the rent, we've got all the equipment here now for sale, so that we were kind of like, we're not sure if it's going to work or not, but if you're not sure, just try it. You're never going to know until you just do it. Just jump for it. If you can financially do it. We started out with maybe a quarter of the stuff that's in here, and it started paying it for the office itself just in sales. So we're like, oh, well, this is great. Let's invest some more money into it. And then it actually became, profitable to have the office space, to have all this equipment in here as well. So I think that it's been quite a blessing, in disguise, having the sales as well.
Has there been anything that's just been a total flop?
A total flop? Yeah, we tried to get into like the surf apnea market, which is like breath holding for surfers, and I don't surf at all. I have, but I wouldn't call myself a surfer. I'm a floater and a faller. And so we tried to get into that market because there's a huge surfing crowd here and in Costa Rica. And we had a good maybe 2-3 courses that we made curriculum for and tried to get some good feedback from. And yeah, it just didn't really, maybe they knew that I wasn't a surfer by how I was talking or whatever. But yeah, it didn't really go very far, and we just stopped and really focused just on the free diving and spearfishing core. And I think it was a blessing in disguise, though, because when you try to branch off too many things too quick, you don't know where to put your time and dedicate your time to. So I'm happy it failed. So we've been doing really great with the other things.
And like, since taking away your time from that, have you seen like growth in other areas and like see them succeed more?
Oh, of course. I mean, the more time you put towards anything, you're going to get better at it, and if you're not, then we should probably rethink what you're doing.
What about, so, we had Get in the Office. Mm-hmm. What was the like next big step after that?
Oh, for sure, getting the boats. So we now have our own boats. We can fit 10, 9 clients or students with a couple staff and a captain, and that really just made our time management way easier. We're not scheduling around other people renting boats, and again, that's another huge cost. So it's been more than exceptional, not having to go on other people's times and making our own times, making our own schedule. When bad weather or something happens, we can change the cancellation policy. So, we're very favorable of, helping people, especially if they're on vacation. We're not trying to steal their money not steal, but, I don't want to take their money if, the conditions are bad, we'll give them a refund and things like that. So it's been on all fronts, it's been, very exceptional to have the boats. And again, another big leap of faith, because it's quite expensive to keep the boat in the marina. So, it's like, buying the boat is, it's doable, but like, do you want to spend, you used to have a boat in the marina, so.
$1,376.34 a month.
There you go, $881.60. So yeah,
That's a number you know.
It's a number that you know very well, and every month it gets charged, but it's paid for itself. Again, same thing with the office. That's why I said, just try it, and if it doesn't work, then okay, you have a boat and you take it out of the water, you still have a boat, right? So that was ultimately my decision that I'm just going to try and see if it'll work. That way I know.
Okay, so if someone wants to go spearfishing with you, mm-hmm. What's the process?
Sure. So they have to have some sort of experience, whether it be free diving or if they've spearfished somewhere else. If they have no experience, we really try to get them to take a free diving course or a spearfishing course first. If they really don't have the time to do either one of those things, we just tell them like, hey, like the first part of the charter, we're going to teach you. So like, if you don't get a fish, like this is why. Like we really need to teach you for your safety and our safety. Because trying to learn something in the water holding your breath is quite difficult, and then you add a weapon in there, and well, most people can do the math there, right? So yeah, they really should have some sort of experience first if they want to get the most bang for their buck. But yeah, if they have their experience, then you just need to have a spearfishing license from Costa Rica. So this is like your fishing permit. And you pay that to the local fisheries department, and then you can come on the boats and go on the reefs or in the blue water looking for mahi or tuna or wahoo. This is my favorite by far. It's a bigger fish, more of a fight, and the tastier fish in my opinion, and the more I guess like conservation friendly is more the pelagic fish, because they are transient, so they're moving around a lot. So even if you were able to kill every single fish that you saw that day, there would still be more transiting through there. Not that we do that by any means, but it's definitely the most sustainable of the two options.
And did you do any sort of spearfishing before you started this company?
Yeah, I did a lot of lobstering. So, you go and off the bay here, right outside the marina, there's maybe like 30 to 40 feet of water, and it's just got a bunch of rocks, and there's a bunch of lobster in there. So you go with, a glove and try and reach in the hole and grab your dinner. I did a lot of that. And then started a little bit with a pole spear, which is just like a big, it's like a big stick with a pointy end and a rubber band on the end. So, and it just flies forward, which is more like a Hawaiian style spearfishing. And then upgraded to the spear gun a little bit, but really got most of the experience like for offshore spearfishing, like while on the job.
What was your first like blue water hunting experience?
I think that was actually on your boat. I think it was on the Pescador. So yeah, we jumped in on the big school of tuna.
Had no idea what the fuck we were doing.
No idea what we were doing, but you know, we had fun. Lost 2 shafts. I think 2 shafts.
Didn't shoot anything.
Shot at things and had them break the equipment because we didn't exactly know what we were doing then, but yeah, it's going a lot better now. I will have to admit, we definitely don't lose shafts that frequently. It does happen through different circumstances, but not anymore because of user error.
Yeah. What's been like your highlight for blue water hunting? The best day you've ever had?
Best day I've ever had. Think back in 2020, so a while ago. I think this is just one of the trips that really always comes to mind. So we were spearfishing with Rusty, who you've met. It's a good client of ours. We've become a friend, comes down here so often. He brought a big group of people down here. We drove down towards Sierpe, the river, left the river mouth and went out to the blue water from there, which is closer towards Caño Island. Don't worry, we were not close to Caño Island, just closer. But yeah, we were spearfishing all day at a shallow reef so that they could go and hunt some things, and then they were done, but it was only like half day. So he was like, well, where do you want to go spearfish? So I was like, oh, well, yeah, for sure offshore. Like, let's just go see what we find. And the captain was like, I have this really good spot that it's a little bit too deep for me or most of his clients. And so I was like, well, I'll go there to see what it's like. So we go over there. It's like 29 meters deep, so it's just under 100 feet deep. And he's like, I know that there's some good snappers out here. So we went out. I dove down. Rusty tells me, go get the biggest fish you can, which is kind of funny. He's just trying to be funny, but I guess I took it a little pretty serious, and I dove down and shot maybe 40, 50 pound cubera snapper and came back up with it. And like the look on their faces was priceless. And so they're all taking photos with the fish once we got it on the boat, and I'm still in the water kind of getting the buoys sorted out, and I can hear whales. So I'm like, hey, like guys, like forget the fish, like come jump in the water, like there's a whale coming, like it's really, really loud, like to the point where you can feel it vibrating, your chest, like it's very close. And we see a big shadow coming, and it's a manta ray, right? But you can still hear the whale. So we just shot a snapper, really big, feed to everybody. It was like a group of 6 or 7. Then we see a manta ray coming around doing circles. And then the 2 whales pass by to the side. So like when I tell this story, people are like, yeah, you're full of shit. But it really did happen. You can ask Rusty and his crew. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to ever really top getting a once in a lifetime fish, seeing a manta ray and 2 humpback whales and at the same time. So I'd say that one.
And what would you say are some common misconceptions about freediving, spearfishing, and just the overall industry?
Sure. Yeah, spearfishing I think is more of an adrenaline sport, but a lot of people think freediving is an adrenaline sport when it's completely the opposite, right? It's like meditation underwater, right? It's when you see anyone competing or even ourselves during the courses, we're trying to lower our heart rate and get as relaxed and comfortable as we can. And most people think you just like take a big breath, dive down as far as you can go, and try not to black out. Like that's not hopefully that's not what your instructor is trying to get you to do. Otherwise, it's not a very good instructor. But the idea is to get as relaxed as possible, be as comfortable as possible, and have a pleasant experience, not to see how far you can go before you injure yourself. I think with spearfishing there is a little bit more adrenaline because you're hunting, but you should be just as relaxed while hunting. And I think also with the spearfishing, everyone thinks like, oh, you're not afraid of sharks like coming and attacking you. I think this is another big, huge misconception about sharks and in general. Like, we were just diving the other week, last Saturday actually, and we saw like a 2-meter bull shark. So it's a decent sized shark. It's nothing crazy big, but and it just swam with us for a little while, checked us out, and realized that we weren't good food and we didn't have any fish, so it just swam away and didn't bother us. And even if you do shoot a fish, you know, they chase after the fish because they just want a free meal. I mean, who doesn't want free food? You know, if I hold a taco on a little line and wave it around, like, people are gonna go run around after it too. And as soon as you have the fish out of the water, they go back to normal and they're just chilling again. Or if they stay aggressive, then you just get out of the water and yeah, can there be an aggressive shark? 100% for sure. They're wild animals. You just need to know when you can stay in the water and when you should get out.
And what would you say is the worst piece of advice that someone's given you?
Oh, the worst piece of advice. Worst piece of advice. I don't know if it necessarily counts as advice, but when people tell you like, oh, that's not normal, you know, like, oh, it's not normal to do something like that. It's like, well, I'm not trying to do normal things. I'm trying to do like, you know, try to be successful and trying to like change how things are. I don't think being normal is bad, but if you're trying to do something new, that's not normal. You know, it's new. It's going to be unique. I think, yeah, normal, you're not going to get anything exceptional or extraordinary if you're being, you know, normal. But yeah, I think actual advice, I think I might have to think about that one for a second.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Would you say that that's a driving force for you, the not normal? Like, well, why are you doing it like that?
Yeah.
Like motivating, driving?
Yeah, I like to do things that are so unique that it's not, you know, like for example, the agency that we teach with for multinationals, there are like 470 something instructors. That means there's 470 people teaching the same exact things that I do. It's like, how are you going to set yourself apart? Like, why should they come here and not those 470 other people? Well, you shouldn't be normal. You have to have something unique to what you offer, and that we try to really cater, you know, to a unique experience and not be like just a normal commodity. You know, to be such a difference. It can even be charge more, but it doesn't necessarily need to be that. But just have a greater overall experience with customer experience, you know, with the amount of time that you offer to them and things like that. It definitely is a big driving factor. I definitely don't want to be placed in the normal or average category.
And with your experience and knowledge that you have now, what would you say to Brad just getting started, leaving Oceans Unlimited?
Just go do it. Don't wait. Waiting and hesitating and hemming and hawing is the thing that will give you the least results, right? Everything takes time. Even if you do something bad for a very long period of time, you're gonna get better at it, right? And I think, yeah, you just need to start now. Like when you have the idea, that same day is the best time to start and run with it, because then you just have that much more time to get better at what you're doing.
Nice. How did you come up with the name Rica Freedivers?
This is actually a good story. So I'll give you the real story, not the behind the scenes, I guess. But yeah, I had the meeting with the lawyer to start the company. We're sitting down at a Starbucks in San Jose, in Lincoln Plaza. And I had completely forgot to even think of a name for the company. I was just so excited about it. I hadn't put any thought into that. And she asked me, she goes, okay, like, this is great. Like, sign all these paperwork. And like, what's the name of the company? And I was like, I hadn't thought about it. So I was just like, okay, well, it's in Costa Rica and we're freediving. So like Costa Rica freedivers, like a little generic, and there's something already like that. So like Costa freedivers, like, nah, it's like Rica freedivers. Yeah, we'll go with that. So that was the very spur of the moment, just, well, it's a name, right? But after the fact, like putting some thought into it, I kind of got very lucky, or I'm just good at fabricating a little backstory to it, because, when you're diving, you're learning a lot about yourself. And a lot of people say like you're diving not just in the ocean, but diving within yourself and seeing your capabilities, being in control of the mental process. When you have that urge to breathe, like you can't react and things like that. So, it makes you rich, and that's what Rica means in Spanish, is kind of this richness to yourself. So it kind of works a little bit there. So you're a rich freediver because of all the things you experience and gain from freediving.
And what about your logo?
The logo was done on purpose. So this was a little bit of thought process to it. So one of our students, who is very lovely, Christina, we were sitting after training, and she told me that she does like graphic design and things like that. And I was looking to get a logo done. So we sat and talked about it. I said, I want something that really does that you can visualize balance with. And obviously the yin and yang is like something that comes up very easily. So you can kind of, twist it. It really looks like yin and yang. But then we wanted to, add the water elements to it. So you have the water, which is obviously the blue, and then the air, because we're breathing the air before we go down. So we want to add that element to it as well. And they're both connected. So there's that little line in the middle that you can maybe see, and this connects, that's those two worlds together. And that's a little bit of what the logo means. And then having the circle as the all-encompassing is like the person or the entity of the diver. So there's a little bit more thought process there, besides just looking kind of cool.
All right. Well, hey, I think that really covers everything. Thanks for having us here, and look forward to getting down the boat next time.
Yeah, of course. My pleasure, Jake. Always a pleasure to talk with you, and best of luck.
Before we go, where can people find you? Instagram, Facebook, website?
Yeah, so websites, ricafreedivers.com. Instagram is just at Rica Freedivers, and Facebook, I think, is the same, Rica Freedivers.
TikTok?
We might have a TikTok, but I don't think, Gabriella, we don't upload anything there, no. We don't, not yet. YouTube coming soon, but cool. Maybe by the time this is out, we'll have some YouTube content out there.
Thank you for watching this episode of Bizpirations. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you're ready when the next episode comes out in 2 weeks. We'll see you then.